Everybody.
Recording in progress.
You all know that.
Okay, so I'm gonna call the special town council meeting to order. And before we begin, I'll ask the town manager to announce the protocols, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the town's YouTube. I ask that those within the room remain quiet unless they are involved in the discussion, and that those attending over Zoom keep their cameras off and microphones muted. If they're not involved in the current discussion, if you'd like to speak and are on Zoom, please use the raise hand feature. For those in person, please speak audibly toward the microphone or the microphone on the lectern. Before you make your comments, please state your name and the street that you live on for record keeping purposes. If this meeting gets interrupted, we will immediately end the Zoom and send a new link via email. Before I turn it back to the mayor, I'll just quickly say that I unfortunately didn't have my glasses with me tonight. So if you see me leaning into my computer, that is why.
That is not acceptable.
But I'll pay that to you.
Okay, thank you. So our first item is a consideration of the agenda as presented. Is there a motion?
Go move.
Okay, I
So
heard
second.
Barr and then Howler. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, thank you. The next item is our public comment period. Oh, we have it. Oh, excellent.
Yes, we have a
Welcome.
comment.
Yes, okay, could you please come forward to the podium here to the,
Are you serious?
yeah,
Yes,
because.
very formal, Adam.
But it's also.
So people can see you on
captures in the
Zoom.
recording.
And then tell us, this is your first time coming here, right? Oh, excellent, welcome. So tell us your name and your street, please, for the record.
And the microphone?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
with the microphone.
Yeah.
ideally.
I got it.
I think he's got a loud voice.
Yeah, don't.
Well,
Don't
my-
prejudice the gallery. All right, so anyway, my name is Adam Early.
So doesn't, I think you need to hold it closer.
My name is Adam Early, and I
Thank
live at 4507 Cumberland, across from the town hall. And I wanted to address the council on the agenda item in the work session, specifically the proposal for a youth council event regarding pickleball. And I wanted to state a strong opposition to this, even though it's just a work session and it's just preliminary, it hasn't been decided.
Right.
But I think it's important to lay down a marker early on this issue.
Please do.
I support the youth council. I think it's a great idea to have a community event that brings everybody together and spreads love and goodness among the community. I'm not opposed to that. What I am opposed to is reopening the sordid can of worms that is pickleball. So, you know, I see this as if it's adopted as a counterproductive move, frankly. The idea of promoting community spirit and community togetherness will actually cause more chaos, confusion, and conflict in the community. Here's why. First of all,
If you can hold it close, because there are people.
okay, first of all,
Thank you.
using the tennis courts for pickleball is a subject that we dealt with. It caused a huge amount of conflict in the community. You guys handled that pretty well. You put it to bed. And I believe that if this thing goes forward, it'll bring up a lot of buried issues that are better left buried. The fact of the matter is, a lot of people still want to use the tennis court for pickleball. I personally, I would say once a month, usually around 8 o'clock in the evening during the summer months, stop people from playing pickleball on the tennis courts. They're already playing. And the reason I know they're playing is because I can hear it. So frankly, it doesn't seem to me to be out of order to consider a sign on the tennis court saying no pickleball, because it's at least 6 or 7 times I've stopped people.
Okay,
So-
excellent.
So, you know, basically this is an innocent suggestion. Because the town youth council has no, probably little if any recollection of the past, but it's an innocent suggestion that can open a huge can of worms. And I think it should be handled by saying, great idea to do something, but how about another kind of event? They've got the crafts fair, that's great, combine something with the crafts fair, do you need two events if you want to do a second event? Something else on a town facility, using that facility for the purpose for which it was intended. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and we will keep in touch with you. And as you pointed out, it's not being decided tonight.
Right.
But thank you, and we'll keep in touch with you.
Thank
I would-
Excellent. Is there anybody else? The next item is the consideration of the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
Moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, thank you. The next item is public hearing consideration of an extension request submitted by Peter Lustig for the active building permit for the property located at 5520 Trent Street for an additional 4 months. The new expiration date would be April 15th, 2025. Mr. Town Manager.
Doug, I'll let you take this one.
Sure. The town's building permit expired on December 15th, yesterday. The applicant has applied for an extension. They say they have several interior and exterior improvements to work on, and they've asked for an extension until March 1st. I would recommend that the council give them a 4 months extension until April 15th. That would allow the county to do their final and also for the town to do their final.
And that concludes your report, correct?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. And I take it the applicant is the applicant. Okay, thank you. Council President Thor, do you have any questions?
Have we heard from any neighbors who are concerned with the continuing construction?
No.
Thank you.
Council Member Circo. No questions. Councilor Heller.
I just had one question. I'm not sure it's relevant. Stop me.
Any question is relevant.
When I read over their permit application, I saw that it was a generator on there. And I wonder, I don't remember talking about that generator. Did we? And that's not new. That's old, isn't it? That would be old.
This is a,
Maybe Doug knows.
this is a renovation.
You'll get a chance. Councilor Heller. Let's let Doug. I never forgot him later, but does, he's not the applicant. Your question is for Doug or the
Yeah,
manager.
well, my question is, if they have a generator, had we discussed it? Maybe I missed it. I wonder where this generator is located. And if I'm off base by coming at this so late, I apologize.
Doug, can you answer that?
This is Doug. I don't remember them applying for a generator, but I can check the records tomorrow and see what they applied for.
It's on the application, the permit application. That's why I saw it, because I read it and I just didn't remember it, but it's there.
And yeah, it says.
Okay, I'll look at it
Okay,
tomorrow.
hold on. No. This is why applicants should always be required to come
Mhm.
when they're, and then you can decide whether to not give the extension for that reason. So, do you have any other questions?
No, it's my only
Okay,
question.
thank you. Councilor Kumar.
No questions.
Councilor Rovak.
This location had a bunch of complaints about keeping the site cleaned. Do we know if the site has been cleaned up and is like in good viewing shape?
Originally, when they tore the old house down, there was a couple of instances where sediment came down the street out to Fallstone. But in
You lost Doug?
Doug, you broke up.
You broke up.
I'm
So
sorry, I
while-
got cut off. We haven't had any recent complaints.
Okay.
Did you have any other questions?
Actually, I withdraw my thing because I was talking about a house on Surrey. Sorry.
Did you have any other questions? Okay, so before we turn to the citizens, for any comment or question, I want to just say that you are all asking excellent questions. And just because someone applies for an extension doesn't mean you're required to grant it. And if the person doesn't come and you don't grant it, that's the process, that's the process. But you're asking good, don't be afraid to ask questions. They're all good. So with that, does anyone have another question?
No.
Okay, so I think a citizen,
Yes.
Chair Khanna.
Yes,
Good evening,
thank you.
sir. Can you also show us your face? Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, thank you very much. My comment on this particular construction project is that earlier this year, there was, during some very heavy rainfall, quite a lot of runoff from this site that flowed onto Fallstone Avenue at the intersection of Trent and Fallstone. I think Barbara Condos had also mentioned this to the town manager. And so what I would like to request the council is to ensure that we don't have a repeat of that runoff. Now, the project might be lucky and there may not be any rain next few months, but obviously it was something was not adequate in terms of preventing sand and dirt running off from the construction site onto the street and down Fallstone Avenue and onto the sidewalk. Thank you.
Okay, well, that's a very good question. So let's ask the town attorney how that could be made into a requirement if the council so chooses.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
So we could, well, is there, what's the status of the permit now, EJ?
The permit, in terms of like expiration or?
Yeah,
It actually technically expired yesterday.
okay.
December
So yeah, so when we renew it, we can renew it with an additional condition that the town council finds necessary for public health, safety, and welfare. So that could be written on the face of the amended permit.
Okay, thank you. So Chair Khanna, did you have any other concerns or questions?
Nothing else. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So now I will turn it over to the council president to lead the discussion and decision.
Okay, right. I think
And
actually,
this is all excellent. This is why we have these extensions on the agenda. Because there is a process and it's not a rubber stamp. And so this has been an excellent exercise here. And now.
all right, I think actually what we're doing is renewing the permit since the permit ended for 4 months. And so that really should be the motion. Beyond that, comments, I'll start with Kabir this time. So any,
No comments.
okay. Debbie, do you want to bring up the issue of the runoff and tie it into this,
The generator?
or the generator or the runoff?
Yes, runoff and the generator. I think
Okay.
we need to address that. We have to make sure that, that was just a one-time event for whatever reason, but, we need to know that we've got adequate stormwater management on that property. And I'd like to know more about this generator. Where is it? Because I just think we would have had a robust conversation about the generator placement. So is it just, I don't know if I was asleep at the wheel or wasn't here or what, but
It was not in the original report to the council.
so is this a new thing they're asking for?
They have a county permit for it. They just haven't applied for town permit by the way.
Okay, so maybe they didn't, maybe they haven't. I guess I want to know, are they planning to ask us for a permit for it?
I will check with them, but I haven't
Okay.
heard.
But and they also need to know that you just can't do it.
So I'll make sure that I'll reach out to them.
Thank you.
All right, Shannon,
I don't have any comments.
all right, and Steve.
No comments, just thank you, Debbie, for catching the generator.
Such an eagle eye there.
Yeah, it's so good.
So motion to renew the permit for 4 months with the following conditions. One, require that runoff be controlled appropriately. As specified in, that was specified in the original application, right?
Yes, it's part of the code.
Yes.
Have to put up that type of silt screen.
Yeah, right. So runoff be controlled all right, so require that runoff be controlled appropriately. To provide the council an application for a generator as indicated in the application.
Okay, so let's ask the, Mr. Town Attorney, that's legally and technically sufficient, right?
Yes, with respect to the generator, I mean, do you want to say as reflected on the plans? The generator's not in the application, if I
Yeah,
understood.
well, it's reflected on the plans for the renewed permit, is what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So you're,
Yeah.
you're cool. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
I heard Helen first. Okay, is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, I want to.
And was there a renewal term? I didn't
4
hear
months.
renewal.
Yeah, he
April
said,
15th.
yeah, April 15th. Thank you. That was
April.
excellent.
That's what I recommend.
Okay, the next item, public hearing consideration of a proposal by Celestial Solar Innovations LLC to install a solar panel system on the roof of the town pool house in an amount not to exceed $57,650 and to obligate $57,650 from the town of Somerset's unobligated ARPA funds toward the proposal. Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll quickly summarize that proposal, but also Jim Riley, who is the founder of Celestial Solar Innovations, is also on Zoom if you have any questions for the company. Basically, just to begin this kind of the refresh, this was a project bid out in 2022 by my predecessor, Matthew Trollinger. It was a 2-part project, first the town hall and then town pool. The town pool project was approved by the council in June 2023, and it occurred in 2023. I was not directly involved in the administrating of this project, as far as I'm aware. It was a great success. And then it was decided to kind of move forward with the swimming pool or pool house. However, it was in the middle of its renovation in the season, so it was delayed until now. I've been working with them. I've also been working with, I guess, former chair Barton Rubenstein of the Environment Committee. We went through a couple of different revisions. I had them check the pool house both when it was kind of in full shade in the summer, more recently when the leaves have fallen, and then also just reviewing the power situation at the pool house. So the current proposal before the council is for 40 REC Alpha Pure RX 460 watt all black panels. Don't quite know the specifics of what goes into panels, but it was the spot is kind of the left corner of the pool house. If you're looking at it from the parking lot straight ahead at the pool house, this was deemed the best spot throughout the entire year. It would produce around 18% of all power produced by the pool, which, while not the greatest percentage, is considerate when you consider how the pool is definitely the most power intensive facility in the town. At first, the cost was $61,950, but then they offered a $4,300 winter discount. So the cost for the town would be $57,650. Celestial has estimated that in the first year on utilities alone, it will save us $2,655.21. In terms of everything, it will save us about $563.67 a month, generate 18 SRECs a year, and over the 25-year life cycles of the panel will save the town roughly $169,102.26. Something else I would like to note is that the SRECs for this pool house is actually on the DC power grid, with SRECs going for a higher rate than on the Maryland grid. And then just kind of as a general update as well is since June 2024, when I set up the SREC account for the town, we've sold about $472.54 worth of SRECs. Actually, I just got the notice that we sold another one yesterday. So just because it's not done by us, I'm not out there it's all automatic, which is nice for us. Considering all these factors, my recommendation is to approve this agreement for the solar panel installation at the pool house for $57,650. And as previously discussed at the last council meeting, I recommend that the council approve to obligate $57,650 of the town of Somerset's unobligated ARPA funds to this project. I'll note that we budgeted $70K for this project, so it's going to come in around $12,000 under budget.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Council President. Or give me a question.
Yeah, EJ, you mentioned in your note that a late change was to switch the microinverter from the A version to the X version, I think.
Yeah.
And also that reduced the number of panels to 18 from 20.
Yeah.
And it changed the costs too. Is your estimate of the costs reflecting that change or not?
Yes, this memo is on that current.
And you've got a contract now that reflects that because the one that you put up was the prior version.
Yeah. So that bit.
Yep. All right. Good. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member Circo.
No questions.
Councilor Howell,
No questions. Thank you. I think it's a good proposal.
Councilor Kumar.
EJ, just to confirm, and you probably don't need to do it at this stage, but at some point, I assume you will consult with American Pool
Yes.
on this, because I think they have, good sensibility around pool operations and know our pool intimately.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that, I remember that we cleared this project with both the pool committee and the environmental committee in its original incarnation, which was when we were doing the town hall and the pool. And then we pushed it off because of the pool construction, but maybe an FYI to the pool committee might also be sensible.
I can do that.
Yeah. If Debbie thinks that's sensible.
I don't think they can.
You're the liaison.
But they don't meet again until I think February, so you have time, but I think they're more concerned with, I think, other kinds of things instead of not just the energy.
But I'm also, I'm happy just to send them the
That's
courtesy.
fine. I think it's good to share with them.
Good
It's
idea.
always good to share more information than not.
That's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Rebecca. Do you have any questions?
So one of the things that we had talked about when this kind of first came up was potentially that we would have to be taking down trees. Is that not the case anymore? Do we have to take down
Yes.
trees?
No, this, part of the reason this proposal is by the way it is this is zero change in the tree canopy around the pool.
Okay, and then I guess I'm just having a hard time understanding these like return on investment numbers. Because it says average monthly savings is $563. But then first year utility savings is $2,655. So I would assume that the average monthly savings would be $563 times 12, which would be the average yearly. Is that
I'll let Jim Riley.
Factoring that
from
wrong?
Solar.
Hello, can you all hear me okay?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I wanted to make sure I could, should I start my video or do you just want to hear me?
Starting your video would be great.
Oh, yeah, please say your video.
Okay. So, yeah, I know the proposal, the way that's outlined can be kind of confusing. It's a good question. So there's the average monthly savings takes into the account the additional revenue from selling SRECs into the DC marketplace. So the utility savings represents what you're saving just with Pepco. The average monthly savings is adding into the including the SREC revenue from the sale of those carbon credits.
Do we get money back from that?
Sure. So it's really the pool house in the town of Somerset's pretty lucky that you're drawing on the DC Pepco grid because you qualify to sell SRECs in the DC marketplace, like EJ had mentioned. So this is a little bit different than the town hall because when we did the installation for the town hall, that does not draw from the DC grid, it draws from the Maryland grid. and there's a big difference. There's a big price delta between the two. So SRECs are carbon credits. We sell them through an aggregator. There's one for every 1,000 kilowatt hours of production from the system. This system is expected to generate 18 in a calendar year. And in Maryland, for example, they sell for about $50 a piece. However, in DC, they sell for over $400 a piece. It's quite lucrative. So, you take the math of, the additional roughly $400 times 18 divided by 12. And then we included that in the utility savings to get the average monthly savings figure that you see there.
Okay. So the $169,000 after 25-year solar savings, what does that mean?
So that includes 25 years of utility savings, and the DC SREC is currently structured to be sold through 2041 when the program is set to sunset. It's also a supply and demand curve, so they're going to slowly decline in value over time through 2041. Right now, I want to say they're selling for around $430 a piece. And so, and another thing that we include in our proposals when we do our estimates is 3% for inflation with the utility. So those numbers reflect 25 years of utility savings at a 3% inflation rate, and then SREC revenue for roughly the next 15 years.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure.
I don't have any other
Okay,
questions.
so Mr. Riley, I didn't realize you were here. Thank you very much for taking the time. So let
Sure.
me see if anyone, Council President Party, do you have any questions?
I have no further questions.
Council Circle,
What questions?
No questions.
No questions. Appreciate Shannon.
Okay. Are there any comments or questions? Oh, okay. Sir, Chair Khanna.
Yes, thank you very much. I had a question about the SREC contract, and maybe Mr. Riley could explain that. Will this be a 1-year, 2-year contract to purchase for sale of SRECs, or how do you recommend the town structure it? Because I understand you can buy it on you have a market price, and that could be $430, but you could also lock in a price for 1, 2, 3 years or 4 years. That might be a lower price. Does the town have advice from you as to which contract it would go with, and how would that be structured? Thank you.
Yeah, yes, sir. So that's a good question. So, we are not directly in the SREC management business. So what we did for the town hall and what we would recommend for the pool house is we're a referral source for SREC trade. They're like one of the largest, they might be the largest SREC brokerage in the country. And they're the ones that facilitate the transactions between the town of Somerset and the utilities. And there are different ways through their platform to monetize them. And they'll be a better resource to you about what's going to be the most profitable way of doing that. Just to give you examples, like you can do essentially a quarterly payment structure. You can spot trade it and kind of play the market. One thing about the SREC market is it's not like the stock market. Like there's not a lot of variation. It's pretty consistent, the pricing. They may vary in a given year, $20 per SREC roughly. So, they'd be a good resource to you on what's the best way to be most profitable. But that's what we did with EJ is we referred them and set up the application on your behalf, and then the management will be taken over by whoever administrator, or I guess it would be EJ for the second project.
Thank you. So I guess maybe the question is directed better to EJ and the council as to what your thinking is regarding the structuring of the contract.
Well, your question would be to EJ.
Well, yes, it's not necessarily a contract. It's just the marketplace we choose to serve, to put our SRECs on, but there's no formal contract per se about that. It's an automatic process. So
Yeah, but SREC Trade will give you the option of basically selling your SRECs with a contract that covers multi-years, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, and the price will vary according to the contract. So there's a financial decision the town needs to take as to how much you want to lock in a price for a particular period, because the price will vary depending on the duration of your SREC sales contract.
No.
I know that because that's what I'm doing on my house.
Okay, so do you have a specific recommendation?
I mean, I think we'd have to look at the financials and understand what the current price is. So I don't know if there's, if there's someone on the town staff or a particular committee that should look at the financials of the different contract option that SREC Trade gives. But maybe Debbie can have Jamie look into the contract. But I think it's as I don't know what the town did for the town hall. But given the fact that you will get DC prices for the pool, that's a lot of money that you have to figure out what is the most advantageous duration of contract. There's probably there may not be one right answer, but I think the town does need to do some due diligence to figure out whether it goes into a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, or 4 year SREC trade contract. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Amsala, can you please,
Yeah, hi, thanks.
Tell us your name and your street for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Amsalu Debella Biketti. My address is 5407 Uppingham Street. And I'm curious about just, I'm obviously was not involved and not a resident in Somerset when this was initially discussed, but I'm just curious if a battery system was ever part of the proposal and if the objective is to try to save on electricity costs versus have backup power in the event of a power outage.
Jim, can you answer that?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I wasn't sure if that was aimed towards me. No, we had not spoken about battery storage at the time of when we reviewed this project.
Okay, did you have any further questions or comments?
I guess I think I would volunteer that it would be helpful to incorporate or to consider battery storage. I'm just speaking from my own personal experience being a homeowner in California for 6 years where there were periodic blackouts, and we had a solar system with robust battery that really helped our household during blackouts. So I don't know how common that is around here, but it could be the wave of the future. So something to think about.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so before I turn it over to residents to lead the discussion, do you have a further question of Mr. Riley?
Yes, I do actually. Mr. Riley, in your experience, how common is it for owners of panels to actively seek out different contracts versus just handing it to a broker who then manages it for them?
Are you speaking on the solar installation, like whether or not to enlist our services, or do you mean for the SRECs?
Services for the SRECs.
Oh, you can certainly shop it. There are other brokerages out there that offer different things. I know it was mentioned before, like locking in a 3-year contract. Like some brokerages offer that, so you can guarantee and exactly what you're going to earn per SREC. We can certainly help you navigate that any way that you like. I'm a personal customer of SREC Trade for my own system, and we've worked with them for over 10 years, and we find them to be reliable and fair. But there are other aggregators out there that can service the system and your SRECs.
All right, thank you.
Is that it?
That's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Circa, do you have any?
No questions.
Thank you. Councilor Heller.
No questions.
Councilor Kumar.
No additional questions.
Councilor Rowe.
No questions.
Okay, so now I will turn it over to the distinguished council president to lead the discussion.
All right, the major point is that we are voting on a motion to accept the proposal by Celestia Solar Innovations to install a solar panel system on the roof of the pool house, and that we're going to use some ARPA funds to help pay for it. That's the motion, okay? We can discuss after we pass the motion whether we want EJ to research out contracts for SRECs, basically. So, all right, with that said, I'll call the motion, ask for a second, approving the proposal by Celestia Solar Innovations. We've had plenty of discussion already.
Okay. Okay, so there's a second.
Second.
Okay, so now discussion.
All right, other comments?
What's it? I think it's kind of expensive personally. But I mean, if you guys are all good with it, but I mean, I think it's a lot of
There's
money.
real return on investment, but you're right, it is expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like-
but it's an incredible return in the end. It looks like.
I
it
mean,
sounds
after
like a-
25 years, you get like a I mean, the 169 after 25 years, it's not that big.
That's
I mean, it's like 3
cumulative.
times.
It's cumulative over time.
I will mention that at the moment, there is an IRS rebate for this that municipalities can apply for to get 30% of the money back.
See, that's much more, I mean, that's a big deal
Oh,
for
I
that,
didn't
and that's like another
understand.
20 grand.
Yeah.
But I mean, to me, it reads expensive for, I mean, I think that there's good reasons to do it, but it seems pricey. How do we get that rebate back?
By filing with the IRS to get it back. That's all you have to do.
The staff doing that.
Yeah.
EJ's smiling.
Well,
Yeah.
Peter, we can help you.
Yeah. Personally, we got solar panels and we thought we'd have to be paid back in a lot of years. I remember the number. We paid it back in like 3 or 4 years
Same
because
here.
we got all these rebates, from the state. And it was really worth our while. It's
Mhm.
amazing when you get that bill in the summer.
Yeah, and we have the same situation. We are net contributors to the grid in the summer.
Mhm.
It's extraordinary.
Mhm.
And we're effectively within the first 18, 24 months. I want to say it was very quick.
Mhm.
Yeah, we were
So-
shocked, right?
I think it's a worthwhile investment. I agree with you that it's a chunky number,
Mhm.
but I think it'll pay dividends in the long run. I'm glad that it's come under budget. I'm glad that ARPA affords us the ability to do that. And it fits, by the way, the ARPA categories this
Mhm.
qualifies for, so it's worthwhile. And to Robin's point, I think the other issues that were brought up are in operationalizing this. So it might be worth investigating with Celestia what our options are. And Salo's recommendation also might be worth investigating. I would say, that's probably a luxury. Battery right now, that's,
They're very
But it-
expensive.
yeah, it might be a luxury. I don't, as far as I can recollect, it hasn't been an issue. It might change, I hear her. But that might qualify as luxury, but that's also separately to Robin's point that we can investigate.
If we go back to the days of power outages for
Yes,
long periods of time, that might be one thing, then we look into it again. But right now, those battery backups are really expensive. And they're not cost effective here. Maybe, where she was in California, except they had more of the rolling outages, but it's not that will not be cost effective for us right now.
yes, my instincts are that would likely a luxury item for us right now, so. But this seems like a very sensible.
Okay, is there further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, thank you. That was excellent. I always like to give you all kudos at the end of the year. Next item, public hearing, consideration of a proposal by Dewberry to develop an infrastructure master plan for the town of Somerset and to assist in its implementation in an amount not to exceed $79,787.67 and to obligate $79,787.67 from the town of Somerset's unobligated ARPA funds towards the proposal. Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, go quickly over my memo and also in addition, kind of another element of this as well. So first, I'll just start out by, again, relationship with Dewberry started in 2022, my predecessor, Matthew Trollinger. And then the first part of it was an initial action being the assessment of the current streets and sidewalks that happened in 2023. That was kind of around the time I started, so I was not directly involved with that project, though Matt talked very highly of them, to me at least. I don't know what else he said. Since then, he had started working on, and then I kind of picked up working with them for the plan basically, a plan to create a master plan and then assist with its implementation. And then several of the town committees have been involved, most recently the pedestrian safety working group. And that's kind of all that led us to the current proposal. So The current proposal, basically something that came up a lot, is there's a lot of elements to our infrastructure needs in town and what we want to do with them. And so instead of just, and that was actually part of the original RFP, is making mention of there might be an additional work that happens. And so how it kind of came together in this proposal was the form of a master service agreement. So basically, the scope of work here, it doesn't get too much into exactly like what that master plan is going to look like. And that's because this master service agreement is basically us entering into a consultation relationship with them versus a standard contractor relationship. And in each work order under this master service agreement would be for the very specific things. And those work orders would also be reviewed by the council on a per project basis. And so there might be elements of it that we decide not to go with, or we decide we want to go with. And so, for example, like the work orders would come together though to form whatever our master plan for Somerset we would like to look like in the end. So the maintenance and replacement schedule, which is kind of the main part of it, but also I've talked pretty heavily with Public Safety Committee, but also the Pedestrian Safety Working Group on sidewalk extension studies, and ADA compliance has been a big thing. Assessments of the parking lots that the town owns were not included. Given that I have, they have the potential to review all the signage. There was a signage assessment done a couple of years ago that they can incorporate. So it's kind of a different form of a contract than usual. Me and Ron actually met like directly with like their people to kind of go over it all and make sure that everything looks good. And so when it comes to the price of it, it sounds quite expensive, and that's because it is, but I want to be clear that this price is more flexible than, say, the solar panel contract. I'm not saying that this is what this is going to be the price, because that will be up to the council through the work orders that occur. And then additionally, I kind of envision going ahead and putting this money towards it. But part of what happens is once we have the creation of the master plan with Dewberry, then they will start consulting on the actual implementation. So and that kind of takes the form of helping me draft the necessary RFPs, since they have the technical knowledge and stuff like that. So I think even though this is the master plan is the first step, this really isn't an agreement just for that master plan. It's kind of a really big project, and so that's kind of where the price comes into play. Is the price is in this case very much related to the ARPA funds, which can then be moved around as needed and everything. But I just wanted to explain that price tag. The other note I'll make, and this is obviously going to go, and this is a work session topic, but I did not work with them on the assessments, but I did work with them on an inspection of the pool bridge, which will be discussed at the work session. I thought they were very responsive. They did a lot of good work. I think if you have not already seen it, you soon will. And then the final point I'll make is, speaking of the bridge inspection, is at the December 2nd meeting, I had originally recommended the pool bridge for ARPA funds, but once I met with them to overgo the inspection, some unforeseen problems arose that I was not expecting the town to have to deal with, and it kind of has changed. I won't go into now, of course, it does kind of change the nature of the project. So that's why I've kind of pivoted towards this other infrastructure project that I also believe is worthy of our funds. So that's a lot, but that's my report.
Okay, thank you. Council President Barr, do you have any questions?
All right, I want to make sure that I've understood what you're saying. So the large amount, the 757,000, is a very fuzzy amount, really. That covers all of the proposed work orders for all of the projects in town that are planned, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And some portion of that we're saying will be ARPA money. Okay. Just caution that the ARPA money needs to be spent by 2026.
Yes.
So there's.
And that's something me and Bud can work.
All right. Okay.
Clearly on.
Are we getting a definite product from it beyond the work? In other words, are we getting an actual plan?
Yeah, like, well, it'll be like a document for the town.
Yeah.
That the town can use not only in the short term, but the idea is like over years.
That shows-
Guide our infrastructure needs, so kind of right now, it's been kind of one thing at a time, something comes up, we take care of it. But this will be like, okay, we have an encompassing kind of vision.
Integrated vision
for the
for-
infrastructure.
Well, and you know,
or
this is
infrastructure.
like a good government thing, that when I first ran for the council 20 years ago or more. One of my issues was that we should have a 20-year plan for all the infrastructure. So now here we are, all these years later, finally.
20 years later, we got
Yeah,
it.
finally, right, I know. But I mean, that's really the best practice, is most of you, I'm sure, but anyway, go ahead.
All right, that's, I just wanted to clear that up, and those are my questions.
Okay, council member Circa, give me.
Yes, so does the infrastructure include like the water piping in the
It
town?
doesn't include the water because that's WSSC. We
Yeah.
don't actually like own that at all.
Right,
It covers the infrastructure we own, the streets, sidewalks, gutters,
Got it.
all that kind of stuff.
so maybe just as a placeholder for future working session to talk about how do we engage with water and sewer, because we just have these
Yeah.
major breaks 2-3 times a year somewhere in the town.
I feel like it's been even more than that.
Okay, hold on.
So that's a separate topic. Okay, thank you. No other questions.
Okay, Councilor Held.
So this plan, this money that put for the plan, it lays out the plan, it does the work, the money covers the work or no?
Not all the work, it will be,
There's some of the
it
work.
covers the consulting aspect of it, because they're gonna be, since, they're gonna help oversee basically the implementation of it, like the procurement process, they're gonna assist with, since they know exactly kind of what to put in the RFP and everything. So it goes kind of into the implementation as well, but it doesn't cover all the implementation, especially because this is gonna be, the results of the master plan will have to be looked at by the council, and then like it will be like a multi-year actually kind of project.
So when I looked at, you know, the plan, you know, the proposal, I saw that they had, fees at the end. And, are those their overseeing fees?
So those fees are, that's that's telling us ahead of time how they'll structure each work order. Is when we say we want this to happen, that's the schedule, that's the fee schedule basically, so that way we can kind of know ahead, like, the rates are locked in, but that's the schedule for how the work order prices will come together, so when a work order is brought before the council can see exactly why the price is the way it is, there won't be any. And that's actually kind of why I like this agreement, because I think it will make the pricing of since this is such a big project with the high price tag. I think doing these work orders will make it a very transparent process for both the public, but also of course the town council.
Is it,
That's it.
is it Councilmember? Goodwin?
Thank you. Listening to the questions, I do have a few questions here. So to clarify, you're proposing, roughly a $80,000 sole source contract with Dewberry. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, the contract is for them to give us a master plan, a 5-year master plan for our roads, sidewalks, and related infrastructure, parking lot of the pool, and some other elements that you've listed in you. Is that correct?
Yes, the one thing I'll add is that I'm not saying that will be the final price, since it's gonna be done through these work orders. And so the council may decide not to spend that much.
I want to come back to that.
Yeah.
Because it could go in the other direction too. So
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous about that. So it's sole source 80K. And it's to come up with this five-year master plan for us to review. And it covers roads, sidewalks, parking lots, signage,
sidewalk extension studies,
sidewalk
ADA
extension
compliance.
studies, ADA compliance.
And then if there's anything else the council would like to either remove or add.
Is there anything one can add? I can't think of anything else, but
I-
maybe others might want to think about it.
Park.
Okay.
Bicycle lanes.
Benches,
Pardon me?
park benches are in it. Okay, bicycle lanes. Okay, now Dewberry, why are you recommending a sole source? here, given it's, I mean, this is a chunky price.
Yes, yes.
For a plan.
Yeah.
Why are you recommending a sole source here? Because it is what's our sole source limit? Visual 15, right?
Yeah, well, for to kick into procurement process, so 15K is when we have to RFP something.
Yes.
If it's below, then
Okay, so we actually don't have a sole source limit. I'm looking at Robin. Okay, so then, but it's pretty chunky for a sole source. Why are you recommending that?
I was very careful when putting this together the recommendation because I am recommending such a hefty price tag. Is they come very high regarded by the references they had in their original RFP. They're kind of, we're working with their local Fairfax office, but they work with municipalities all over the country. They work with Pepco.
And we did some work with them already.
Yes, and we've done some work with them already, most recently the Pool Bridge inspection. And I was honestly surprised by what I thought was the quality. I'm not an expert on pool bridge inspections, so I don't know the average quality of them, frankly, but I was.
But they also helped us in stormwater.
That was Bayland.
That was good, okay.
Yeah, and that's actually, but that's part of another reason is I think it would be good to have a comprehensive look at it, because if we do each piece under.
No, I agree with the overall objective,
but-
yeah. I was wondering why them
Oh,
specifically, and then I was wondering also the price tag. Then this is the plan. We will get this plan, and then we will decide how we want to implement this plan.
Yeah.
The council will decide.
Yeah.
And against this potential plan, we have budgeted over $700,000 currently.
Mhm.
So against the implementation
Yeah.
of this plan. So we may not end up actually spending all of that,
Yeah.
even by the time the plan comes and
Mhm.
so on. So I just want everyone to know that. That's what you're saying, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so we may decide, like in this fiscal year, we focus on elements 1 and 2 of the plan.
Yeah.
Up to a certain price tag,
Mhm.
and we initiate those projects because they may not even get completed in that fiscal year. Okay. And then the other piece I wanted to ask you, now I want to come to this structure of the contract. So it's 80K, and then each assessment that they do, they're going to issue a work order.
Yeah,
So I'm struggling with that. Like, isn't a team goes out, they assess our infrastructure, they produce a master plan. Why does it need a work order element to it? Because they're not implementing the plan, they're producing the plan.
So the reason behind this beginning of the work order is working with, such as the pedestrian safety working group, for example, is there were elements that have been kind of added, basically. For example, it was the public safety committee and then carried by pedestrian safety working group, but it was founded, that had pushed for the budgeting of sidewalk extension. It was the pedestrian safety working group that has taken really focus on how compliant our ADA, our infrastructure is to the ADA. And so basically, the idea is it would be such a big, it's already a big contract, but the idea of the work orders is to pace it out so we can kind of keep control of the project. Basically, is we're not just giving them all our infrastructure and telling them to go at it, was my thinking.
I don't think this is your intent, but it's coming across to me like the price is not fixed.
It's like a not to exceed, so if they.
So it's a cap of 80K.
Yes.
Okay, and then there's different work, and it could end up being less than 80K.
Yeah.
But
it would not go.
It's
above.
100% a cap.
Yeah, and that's what I confirmed with Dewberry, is it would be the cap, might be lower, would not go above.
Okay, and how did we determine the 80K then?
That was talking with Dewberry, looking at other work, but also part of the reason is I honestly don't think it will go to that amount, but I wanted to.
But they gave you a ground up assessment that total up to it?
Yeah, they gave me a slightly lower ballpark estimate, and I
What
raised
was
it to
that?
80K. Theirs was closer to 65K.
Okay,
But I put it up there just because if they find something, or if they come to us, or if another group in the town, like a committee, comes to us during this process and we want to add something additionally, that's what the rig order is for.
okay, and then lastly, just to clarify, they will not be the implementing party.
No, they won't be they're not a construction company.
But they will help us issue the RFPs.
Yeah,
And that is included in this 80K
Yes.
envelope.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. So they will actually draft the RFPs and help us with the procurement process
Yeah.
for each component of that.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Giving it.
That's it for me. Thanks.
So we've already paid them like what, 68 grand?
For the assessments.
Yeah, for the side, I mean, I thought that's what we were paying for already, was kind of like this master plan of our sidewalks.
What I have in my notes and what is that we paid as an initial step for the assessments with the master plan to follow. Is just what I have.
Because I know that, so I know that Mr. Vaswani has said that he does not think that they have completed the assessed sidewalk assessment.
Yes, so I can comment on that as well, I don't know why the exact reasoning is, but, when we started moving forward, or when, my predecessor had started moving forward with negotiations toward this work, that was put on pause until we got a final kind of, I'm honestly not sure of the exact reasons. What I think it was about was, we asked them to pause. So then, because that's when it was decided somewhere there that they would serve as a more longtime consultant. And so they wanted a final kind of agreement together before, I guess, wanted a final agreement together before we continued. And so they have not accessed it because we have asked them to hold off. And so, and that is something that I had just continued based off of. That's how it was when
Well, it seems that they should be, I mean, like
But that would
again,
be
I don't know
nice.
what's going on, like what happened between, I know that Matt was involved and now, obviously he's not involved and this and that, but it seems like if they're gonna be asking us for another $80,000, for this consulting master plan thing, that they should at least finish the project where we gave them $68,000 for the sidewalk assessment. Like it just, people have made comments to me that, and this is not directed at you, but people have made comments to me that the town of Somerset likes to commission a lot of, expensive studies to do these different things. And we never really do anything from them. And so, here we're looking to be spending 68 grand plus 80. So my daughter could figure this out faster than me. $140,000.
Is that accurate though?
that's the thing I need to look into is I don't know if we had finished paying them for the assessments because they hadn't completed them. I'd have to go look at the budget.
But it was 68 grand that we said that we would pay them, plus another 80, so it's 148, right? $1,000 that we would be spending of our town's money with not one piece of work done to the sidewalks, right?
Well, and that's, yes, but also that's part of the reason this agreement is nice is because part of the money we're spending is for them to help us procure the work to be done. And so it, unlike other agreements in the past where, I think that is a very, legitimate complaint is this is because it's the study and then it's kind of, okay, now we need to actually look at having the work done. This is like, this leads right into, it leads right into the, work being done in helping with the procurement policy process is therefore then the plan to the council can say, yes, we want to move forward with what's proposed. And that's when they'll turn around as our consultants and write the RFPs and help me write the RFPs and get them published and get work started.
And what about is there a way that we could do it like on a project by project basis or something? I just worry that we're spending 140,000 or 148 grand to then have them help us, and then they're gonna want another not them, but like it's gonna cost another $734,000 to implement what we have asked for them, which I don't know. Last time I checked, I don't think we really have that in the budget. We don't have any more ARPA after this.
That's what's been budgeted for this year's 740K.
Oh, it has been?
Budget.
all of it? Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, it just, I mean, it seems again, well, so does this $79,000, like, does this, is that contract then unlimited in terms of like the time of scope of scope? Like, because I mean, it also takes us a long time to do things. So like, you know, I mean, is this gonna be like in a decade from now? Like, are they gonna be, so how long is this $80,000 or $79,000 contract good for them for?
So the entire contract is for 3 years, but within that contract is each work order will have its own estimation. So for example, the actual maintenance schedule, I was told, will only take about, because they've done the assessments, will only take about a month and a half. And then again, with the cost, it's it is a total price of 80K. But for example, I was told that the maintenance schedule will be about 20K. And so that's one work order. And then if we just, and then technically we could decide right there that this is enough for us, because that'll be presented to the council first. And we could decide, okay, we're going to pause and then we can do more later. Or we can say, okay, we want the next step to happen. For example, the pedestrian safety committee and public safety committee has both requested we look into sidewalk extension studies. So then I don't have a price tag on that, but it's not a lump sum of 80K. It would happen on a project basis.
Oh, okay,
But
so
it's-
we don't owe them just $8
Yes,
grand up
yes,
front and
you're not
then,
holding anything up front. It's a
and-
cap, so we're saying that, you know, we will not, just kind of giving, it's honestly more for, it's like basically just saying, yeah, we will not go above this amount, and I don't even know if you honestly will reach that amount.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, I mean, I just am still a little bit like confused as to the whole sidewalk study and like where we ended up with that after spending so much money on it.
If you do any other questions.
I guess
Okay,
not.
because I just want to say something. So I know that it's now 6:33. I don't think that Dewberry isn't here, right?
No, there.
Yeah. And there's no reason that this has to be decided tonight. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, you need to obligate ARPA funds by the end of December, so yes.
Well, but it doesn't have to be tonight because we could have another. But I honestly.
And the
don't-
contract needs to be signed before the end of the month.
This contract has to be signed.
Yes.
But work orders have to be produced from it, so if we wanted to.
Could we do
But
another
can
round?
can it be,
I mean, if you want to allocate ARPA funds.
It could be tentatively agreed to, but no work orders placed.
but it doesn't
So
have to
council
be
has
done,
discretion.
but the decision doesn't have to be made tonight, is that correct?
Well,
This-
correct, but the contract has to be signed before the end of the month.
But
So-
if we don't, if,
I don't want
but-
to do
Not,
But if-
don't know
but it-
when else you'd make the decision.
Can we do another round?
but if we don't,
Yes.
if this 80 grand is like a cap, then that's not really like good for the ARPA fund really anyway, right?
No,
Because
because it would be considered obligated.
it
But
is,
can, but
but
wait
if
a
it's
minute,
not
so
80
can it be
grand-
obligated, hold on,
And
I'm
we're allowed
just,
to.
I'm just trying
Yes.
to, but can it be obligated and then it could be changed, right?
Yes.
Mr. Town Attorney.
No.
Yeah, yes, it can. I asked the ARPA people, the MTAP office at the state of Maryland. And they said that ARPA funds can be reprogrammed even after the obligation dates.
I want to I don't want to speak out of turn, but I believe that.
Oh, okay.
Because honestly, I don't think it would be wise to make a decision without Dewberry here. So.
And we also have
What
to
I would
find out-
suggest is that we table this until a time certain.
and how much we paid them already and like what's the status of like that sidewalk
But we
thing?
cannot have unallocated.
Well, okay, before I continue, since,
Can I make a recommendation?
yeah,
Since there is leftover questions, and since because of the nature of this contract, I believe that for the obligations of ARPA funds, the council could tentatively agree to this master service agreement, but no work orders, so no money would be spent on it. And then because really it's an agreement, but the real work is through the work orders, so technically we could just never do a work order if we want to, and then that way,
Okay, given that, I'll do a second round of questions. But did any citizen wish to?
Mr. Rohit Khanna is raising his
Okay,
hand.
but let me go. Okay, Council President. Bart, do you have any
Okay, well,
further questions?
I do, but I'll summarize what I've heard and so on. So the 80,000 that we're voting on tonight is purely ARPA funds, first of all. And that is for a contract that will generate a master plan for our infrastructure needs and also commit them to write RFPs for the individual work orders that might stem from the master plan. Of course, council will vote.
So
on
this
whether
is your
to do that.
question to Ron and to.
So what I'm asking is that a fair summary of what we're doing, what this is?
The work orders are for the master plan, so like this service agreement is just an agreement saying that. Is basically saying that we now have the option of doing work orders at Dewberry. And each work order would have its own scope of work for each step of the master plan.
Does this agreement commit us to having Dewberry write the RFPs for the work orders?
No, because that would be a work order itself. The work orders, like, the RFPs would not be for work orders, but for other projects because they're not a construction.
All right, what is Dewberry committed to do on this contract?
Devise the master plan, and then they're committing to the master plan and to the RFP, but then they wouldn't actually do any of that until we have a work order under it, because the work order is how the prices are decided.
And they'd have to all be approved by.
And they have to all be approved by the council. This is just the agreement can best be viewed as a framework.
Okay,
So that
so-
we don't have to do a contract negotiation.
So we'll get a master plan out of it anyway, regardless, and then depending on what council subsequently approves in terms of other work orders, then they will help with other work orders.
Yes.
All right. Okay,
Do you have
now
any
I'm clear.
questions? Okay, good.
That's it.
Okay, Council Member Circa, do you have any questions? Okay, Councilmember Howell.
If I understand this correctly, I really like it. Because I love the idea of having a master plan. And something that I think we've not had.
Good, but now, you'll be able to discuss it, but right now it says any questions. of
Okay,
Ron or the town attorney.
I don't have any questions.
Me or the town attorney. Okay, thank you. Councilmember, come on.
EJ, I wanted to clarify based on the question Shannon raised. Because I don't want there to be a mischaracterization that Dewberry did not deliver something and now we're giving them our money.
Yeah.
And also a figure of 140,000 was mentioned, which is not, I think, accurate. So can you tell us what happened with what I recollect, and then you can confirm if this is, we could do it this way. What I recollect is, I think what you're trying to say is that Matt was talking to Dewberry for sidewalks. I think that's where it started. And then we decided we want to do master planning. And we are not going to spend any money on our infrastructure without a master plan, which, by the way, was not only a 20-year desire, but I think it was heavily recommended by our outgoing budget committee chair and Bolton, if you remember. And then, so it was decided to shift into the master planning with Dewberry. But the question is, did some of the original work start and then stop? And because budgeting for that doesn't necessarily mean we spent that money. So I know we budgeted for it, but did we spend it?
I am checking on that right now.
Okay, so you can come back to that, because then my operating assumption right now is that we shifted to Dewberry to come up with this master plan, frankly, delayed by a few months.
Okay, but why don't you just, that's all good stuff, but.
I want to make that statement and I
Questions?
want EJ to react to that.
Yeah, okay.
As a form of a question.
Okay, good.
Which is that that's how we started with them, and now it's shifted into this 80K proposal,
I believe.
which
that
is a
true.
master plan, master services agreement for a master plan. And the way you've described it, it's an 80K cap. So that's one statement. Can you confirm that?
I'm checking the numbers right now.
Okay. Because I want to address the statement that was made that 140K was spent and 60K was spent. Now we're adding 80K and we got nothing for the 60K.
Which is a fair question.
Yes.
Very fair question.
And I have a follow-up question.
Go for it.
The follow-up question is, this is a master plan for infrastructure, but as you guys know, our primary infrastructure is roads and sidewalks. So my operating assumption again is that that would be the first work order. First work order would encompass sidewalks because that's our core infrastructure. Want to confirm that as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, as far as checking one more line. It transitioned to this 80K, so we had not spent the 32,000.
We have spent what?
We have not spent the 32,000. I'm checking, this would have been done. It was held off basically because of not Mission Creek, but that was agreed to, but then before they really finished it, it was kind of put on hold and before we spent any money, because it turned into this bigger thing. And now this 80K is encompassing, so it would not be 140K, it would just be the 80K.
Okay, is that-
I want to be 100% clear on that though. That you're saying that there was a previous attempt to work with Dewberry on sidewalks alone. And then there was an interest to actually graduate them to help us develop a master plan. I'm making the statement so you can react to it. Sorry, I'm not making a speech here. And that then became this new proposal that you have now. And that no funds were spent on the previous engagement with Dewberry. Double check that.
I don't, the 30K number, I'm confused about.
I thought the 60K was out.
68.
Yeah. So I don't remember that, but you might be
Okay,
right.
that's what you should.
Yeah. And just for the benefit of the council, just to confirm, the first work order will be roads and sidewalks,
Yes,
encompassing all sidewalk work.
yes. Beyond the bridge inspection, because that's a completely separate issue, Dewberry has been paid $3,000 by the town. So some money was spent, but it was just a deposit.
All right, and then the final question, given this is, I do think there's sense to move forward with this, but just for the sake of optionality, given that we are talking about ARPA obligation, do we have an alternative to obligating the remainder of the ARPA funds in your mind? Plan B or Plan C?
To be honest, this was the plan B because of the bridge inspection, as we'll be discussing in the work session.
All right,
And
okay, thank you.
Is that? you done?
That's it, thank you, thank you.
Now, Councilor Brenda. Yes.
Okay, so the proposal that they've already done, that doesn't include like the 3 biggest streets. We haven't done anything with that, obviously.
no, because was the precursor to the master plan, basically, is they take those assessments and then use those assessments to create the master plan. And so I think what happened is that, and they were doing those assessments, it was kind of realized that the project was gonna be much bigger than what initially happened. So it was basically put on hold, which was why most of the money, majority of money was not spent. So then it could basically be renegotiated into this bigger thing. And so that's why they never finished the assessments, is because we basically were no longer paying them to do the assessments.
And then with the ARPA funds though, like, so if this has to be obligated before the end of the year, and then the work has to be complete before, what, is it 1 more year?
No, 2026, calendar year 2026,
So
2 years.
So by the end of 2026, it has to be actually done
Yeah.
and spent. Because I wonder, I mean, if this is going to kind of be like a piecemeal thing, like, is that the best? Is this the best thing that we should be doing for ARPA?
But this, remember, you'll be able to discuss this, but this is your question.
I can help answer that in the discussion. Chan.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I don't have any questions.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So I think a citizen, the chair has a question. Chair Condon, did you want to comment on this agenda item?
And the longer rate.
Oh, it's no longer raised.
I just want to make 2 points. First, I'm I'm supportive and my working group is supportive of the scope of work that EJ has outlined in the document. I think our concern, and I think I don't know where Kumar Vaswani is right now. I thought he was on this call, but I think the main question we had was, what was the output of the previous work? Because some of us have seen various drafts, and I think it's important for the council and the interested committees to at least have access to the work that Dewberry has already done. So I think that's one of the concerns we have, is that we just don't know what Dewberry has done so far, what the quality, how comprehensive it is, and sort of where did the work stop. There were some other comments that Kumar Vaswani had, but that's for him to comment on. But I just want to say in general, the scope of work is consistent with the recommendations of the Pedestrian Safety Working Group. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So now I will.
Yes.
So now I will turn it over to our council president to lead the discussion and potential decision.
All right, so this vote is on the proposal by Dewberry for an infrastructure master plan. And it's associated with a cap of not to exceed this amount, slightly under $80,000, $79,787.67. So as it's been explained to us, the product we'll get is a master plan. But Dewberry is also committed to assist under this with helping RFPs on work orders that we choose. And we've heard that the first work order is likely to be on the roads and sidewalks. So that is the proposal. So reactions to that proposal at this point, anybody?
Thank you. I'm in favor of it. I think we need a master plan. I love the idea of a big loose leaf that, we can point to, and it's not like things here and there. It's right there, and we can hopefully follow it. And I think we should go for it.
All right. Any reactions from this side, Steve?
I think you're right. I think the town needs an integrated master plan. The approach that EJ has developed with the schedule and then task orders, I'm actually kind of familiar with from work with the federal government. We call them IDIQs, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity. Then we just have a lot of task orders for specific efforts. It takes a little bit of extra supervision, but you can get a more focused execution, and you can monitor progress. So if things aren't going the way you want, you can cut your losses or redirect.
I've seen a few of those too.
Right. So yeah, I think it makes sense. I think there's some really good questions though. What has been done? And this is a large chunk, and it is, even though it seems reputable firm, I don't know I should have asked this question earlier. Wish I knew whether we had attempted to do some sort of competitive bidding for this type of a development of master plan. But I think at this point, this is the plan B to how we most effectively use the town's ARPA funding. And it seems like a pretty good plan B.
Thank you, Steve. Shannon.
I don't really have anything else.
All right. Any last word, Kabir?
I want to address, I appreciate those, but the last question that you asked, the 80K is what we are attributing to ARPA. So as long as it's allocated, we are fine. Then we have 2 years spent down on that.
It is 2 years, not 3.
Yeah, for the 80K, this will give us the RFPs and the work orders for the actual costs associated with road maintenance, sidewalk. Those are high dollar figures. So because they're high dollar figures, we want it to be driven by a plan. We want it to come with an expert already working with us, and then we are going to get on a maintenance schedule. That's what's exciting me about this, is that we've had lots of residents who are unhappy with the state of sidewalks in particular, and we've been piecemeal patching them up for the last 24 months. This will put us a bit proactive in nature. We will come with a maintenance plan. There will be a maintenance schedule. At a bare minimum, we can communicate that to the residents. So just wanted to clarify that it's the 80K that's implicated. We
But
still
I
have
mean,
to-
but I'm just confused about it still because EJ said that the 80K is like a stretch. Like it's
Yes.
not even 80K. So
Yes.
like if we're allotting that amount to ARPA,
Yes.
and are you saying that like, next year in June, we have a sidewalk proposal for $100,000, then we can use that money for that $100,000 sidewalk proposal? It doesn't have to be obligated to this guy,
Yes,
Dewberry.
yes, and what I'm saying additionally is, well, I think even if we don't spend this specific 80K, it's okay, it's in the margins. We have largely spent down ARPA, allocated and spent down ARPA. So I think it's okay. Those are not, if you look at all the line items from the pool construction to LED lights, we have actually done a very good job.
Right, but we don't want to lose any money that's
We don't
being
wanna
given
lose
to
it.
us. I mean, even if
Yes,
it's
but
$5,000.
we will be able to then attribute these specific projects, but it'll be, if it's between 65 to 80K.
Yeah, I also, Shannon, remember what EJ said, that we can reprogram after they have been obligated, so that if we don't spend all of the 80,000 on the master plan, and I doubt that we will, we can use in the period coming up, reprogram it to do actually some of the work order, the first work order, the ARPA funds can go to that. So we will have the ARPA funds covered, is what it goes down to. And I'm happy because of that.
Okay, I mean, as long as you guys all are confident of that.
Well, the key thing is that one thing we should all agree on is that roads and sidewalks should be the first gate that we cross on this one, because inclusive of all the sidewalk questions that the working group, the public safety committee have. We have to make
100%, but this is why we started to do this like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I thought we were having like this master plan. We did get something from Dewberry.
I'm more concerned that we started this discussion 45 minutes ago, and I'd like to draw it to a close.
Well, Robin, we all have like our needs to get our
But
answers.
it doesn't, it's
Um,
very important to have this discussion.
Yeah.
I think your question to the town attorney would be, can that be in the resolution or the, whatever it is? The proposal, the motion that certain priorities are obligated by those funds.
I appreciate that, because I think we should have that.
Isn't that?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
that instruction could be part of the motion.
yeah.
I think, Shannon, we should have that and make sure that we don't end up doing, I don't know, some side project that goes straight to roads and sidewalk, inclusive of the sidewalk
yeah,
upgrades we all want.
yeah.
And then
Yeah, I just thought this was being like already worked on for a couple years.
clearly not.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I'll ask, if you want to add an amendment, I will read the proposal as it currently is, which is we were going to approve proposal from Dewberry to develop an infrastructure master plan for the town of Somerset for amount not to exceed $79,787.67, using ARPA funds. And how do you want to modify it?
prioritizing road and sidewalks as the first component of the project.
Okay, and we'll add that then, is that all
But
right?
why don't you ask the town attorney how
Yes.
to actually, what language
It
should be used?
Yeah.
So to me, prioritize is a suggestion.
Okay,
Do you want to make it mandatory? Say with the condition that the first two projects shall be.
yes, appreciate that, Ron.
All right, so
So with the condition, the first project will be focused on roads and sidewalks.
all right,
Roads and.
Is that specific?
Is that specific,
legally
Shannon?
and technically sufficient?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
That's happening. But is Shannon, you want to
Yeah,
clean
that's
that up
fine.
more? Okay.
Shannon, you happy with that? Yep.
Sure.
Okay.
But do you want to add in the pool bridge?
The Pool Bridge is different.
That's
different.
happening.
It's a different kettle of fish.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Is there any other priority you want to put in there?
I think that's good. That's good. That's important that we don't get sidetracked. We get those things up.
All right, so the motion is to
Okay, is
Approve the
there a
proposal
second?
from Dewberry.
Okay, is there a
blah, blah, blah.
second? Okay,
Okay,
so I think I saw Howard first.
all right.
Okay, is there discussion on the motion?
Shannon.
Further discussion?
All those in favor?
All those
come
in
on.
favor? All those, okay, excellent.
I go.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to call the work session to order and you have to, Justin, they should exit out.